Hello, I hope this 122 video will help you. I'm going to try to find the inverse of a matrix using elementary row operations. This technique will also help you when we're doing the simplex method for linear programming. So over here we have a matrix A, and I like to go ahead and find the inverse matrix. The first thing that we would like to do is we actually would like to augment this matrix with a 3 by 3 identity matrix, and I will show you how to do that on the calculator. The way that we find the inverse matrix is to actually use elementary row operations where we get the one that I circled in red to look like the one in blue. Then the one in blue will actually transform into what we're looking for, which is the inverse matrix. So let's go ahead and begin by going to our calculator. So to input the matrix, first thing I will do is I will hit second and then the reciprocal key on the calculator. Come over here to edit and then choose option number 1. And then I will say that the order of our matrix is 3 by 3. So let me go ahead and put in 3, 0, 0, and then come to the next row and put in 2, -2, -1, and etc. Once you're done putting in the matrix, you can just hit second mode. That will take you back to this screen. If you want to see what the matrix looks like, you can go and press second and then your reciprocal key, then option 1, and then press enter, and there it is. But what we like to do is we want to augment this matrix right here, and perhaps the easiest way to do this is to do the following. I will hit second, then a reciprocal key, come over here to math, and option number 7 will allow us to augment the matrix. So I'll come over here and now hit second, then matrix, and then that's the one I want to augment, and I want to augment it with an identity matrix which is 3 by 3. So I type in a comma, and then I do second, and then reciprocal key, and then come back over here to math, and then I will augment it with identity matrix. So I'll choose option 5. It is 3 by 3, so inside of parentheses I will put a 3 and then another parenthesis, and then I like to go ahead and store this as matrix B. So I'll press the store button and then second, reciprocal key, then option 2, and then enter, and there it is. There's our augmented matrix. Alright, let's go ahead and do the transformation to get this part of the matrix to look like this one over here. I think the easiest thing to do would be to go ahead and swap the first and the third row. So let's go ahead and do that. You can do this by simply doing second, then your reciprocal key, then come over here to math, and then we're going to try to find our row commands, and the easiest thing to do from here is to press the up arrow, and then from here you'll see that there's an option C that's called row swap. So I will choose that one, and then I'll tell it that the matrix that we're working with is matrix B, the augmented one. And now we'll do a comma, and we are swapping rows 1 and 3. So when I press enter, there we are. So now we have a 1 here. So the next goal is to go ahead and try to get zeros underneath this 1. In order to get a 0 underneath the 1 right here, the easiest way to do that would be to multiply row 1 by -2, then add it to the second row, and that second row would be that sum. To do that, there is a nice operation right here on your calculator. Do second, your reciprocal key, then come back over to math, then the up arrow. I'm going to do a combination of multiplying and adding, which would be option F. So I will choose that one. And now what we put in there is the multiplier first, and that would be this first row times -2. So I'll type in -2, then comma, and then the name of the matrix. The easiest thing to do here is to choose the matrix that we have above, and you can do that by hitting second and then the opposite key, and that's the answer. And then I'll do comma, and then the row that gets multiplied, which would be row 1, then comma, and then I would like to add it to row 2. Then I put this in parentheses. Then when I press enter, you see now we have a 0 underneath the 1. Okay, our next goal is to get a 0 where the 3 is now. So the best way to do that would be to actually multiply the first row by -3 and add it to this third row, and that should give us a 0. So here's a little trick. I can come over here and hit second enter. Second enter brings up the last thing I typed in, so I just need to go ahead and change very little here. So I'll change this -2 to a -3, and then I'm going to take that row 1 and add it to row 3. So I'll change this 2 into a 3, and when I press enter, voila, there I am. So now we're doing pretty good. Now the next thing I like to do is just go ahead and multiply the second row by a -1/2, which will make this a +1. So to do this next step, I will have to use a different feature than I've used before, just a little bit different. Once again, I will do second matrix, come over here to math, hit the up arrow, and this time we're just going to do the one that's a multiplication, which is option E. So for right now, I will go ahead and put the multiplier in, which would be -1/2. And then the matrix, which is the one above, so I'll hit second, and then the opposite for the, and remember, answer just contains the last thing that was calculated. And then, comma, the row that needs to be multiplied, which is row number 2. All right, we're looking more and more like the identity matrix. So the next thing I would like to do is to get this -3 to become a +1. The easiest way to do that is to multiply the third row by -1/3. So I'll hit second, enter, which is the last thing we did. Only thing I need to do is change this from a -1/2 to a -1/3. And then, of course, that -1/3 will multiply row 3. So when I press enter, there we are. So the go after this is, of course, to get this to be a 0 and this also to be a 0. So to do that process, I will multiply row number 3 by -1.5 and then add it to row number 2. I'm going to take another shortcut by doing second enter, then second enter again, and then second enter again, which gives me the one with the multiplication and the add. And then I will edit accordingly. So we know that the multiplier for this one will have to be -1.5, and then I will do second answer, which of course will be for the matrix, and then comma, we're going to multiply, let's see, row that by row number 3 and add it to row number 2. And now if I press enter, now we do have a 0 here. So the remaining part of this is to turn this one right here into a 0. We're almost done. So to finish this last part, I will multiply the third row by -1 and add it to the first row, and that will turn this part into the identity matrix. So I will press second enter, and this time I will go ahead and change this to just -1, and there's our matrix. And let's see, we're going to multiply row 3 and apply it to row 1, and when I press enter, there we are. The left hand side is now the identity matrix. So I don't want to lose all this good work that we did, so I'm going to hit the store button, and I'm going to go ahead and store this into a matrix C. So now if I go ahead and I would like to go ahead, see all this stuff right here is in decimal form. I'm going to hit math and then enter, enter. So now I have fractions. Now this right hand side is indeed the inverse matrix. What you can see is 1/3, 0, 0, 1/2, -1/2, -1/2, -1/3, 0, and 1. Now, that was a lot of useful stuff that I did. Now you're probably going to hate me because I'm going to show you the easiest way to have found the inverse matrix. But I'm telling you this will be very useful when we have to use the simplex method later. So the easiest way to find the inverse matrix of A is to go back to the original matrix A, which was the 3 by 3, and then just go ahead and hit the reciprocal key, and that's the symbol for the inverse matrix. And then if I hit math, enter, enter, there's your answer. The same numbers as we have above. Isn't that amazing? All right, I hope you enjoy this lecture.